Mike, we're live.
I can tell it's got the little live thing and the little timer going.
Oh
So
no, I just meant you're alive. You haven't been on LinkedIn for a long time.
I know. Well, it's
you
because
took
I keep
you took
taking vacation, man.
you take so much vacation. Holy
Mm,
moly, Mike Hamilton always on vacation. No, truth is like Mike never takes vacation. And Mike, you took vacation.
I did. I went to Western New York.
Hmm.
It's I tell people I'm going to New York, and it's like, oh, New York City? No, man, New York is huge. There's a lot. So we were about an hour east of Erie at Chautauqua Lake, which is a
Mm-hmm.
really beautiful place.
Mm-hmm.
And being that we haven't done this for about 3 weeks, there is absolutely no way we're going to be able to cover what's really gone on. We're going to have to leave a lot on the table here.
And right now, Black Hat DEF CON happening in Las Vegas. I just talked to somebody there who
Yeah,
whose flight was they're supposed to stay there until Saturday. They
yeah,
flew out last night. They're like, I'm done. I've had my 24 hours of Vegas.
yeah. Well, I don't know if you've seen some of the video that's showing up on social media. I was watching this morning on Twitter. It's flooding like crazy there.
Is it really?
But like parking structures have rivers in them.
Oh well, I guess that happens when you're in the desert and there's
Yeah,
no drainage, right?
and it rains.
Yeah. Are you wishing you were there?
No, no. I'm glad to be here where the temperature will not hit 80 degrees, and looking forward to conducting security awareness training today at noon Pacific. Uh,
Uh-huh.
Email
Uh-huh.
Jake or me for the sign up link if you want to do that.
Yeah, just
Uh,
email me, Jake at criticalinsight.com, or go to our website, criticalinsight.com, click on events up at the top, and then
yep.
you'll see it. You'll see it there.
And yeah,
Uh,
I think it's interesting. I have some information that Seattle Public Library staff may be attending today, which,
oh, really? Oh, good.
yeah, and I have one example in the deck that comes from an event that occurred at Seattle Public Library, so they'll enjoy that.
Yeah, I'm not sure I knew that, but okay, I'm sure
Okay.
that'll go over well.
Hmm.
Hey, let's get over. Let's get on to all the news we can cover in 15 minutes. Go.
Okay. All right, I'll start with this. We must be close to the notice of funding opportunity coming out for the IIJA state and local
Hmm.
cybersecurity grant program. Okay,
Hmm.
the foot dragging going on by the state and presumably the feds is substantial, but I was told about 3 weeks ago from someone pretty authoritative that it would be about 3 weeks. So to support that, we're doing quick assessments for local governments so that they can create a prioritized list of funding requests. Okay, here are the things that hit the radar over the last few
And
weeks.
wait, and before you hit that, I'll just say to folks, if so, that's tribal organizations, that's state and local governments, um, and so especially like water districts,
Yeah,
utility
like public
districts,
utilities. Yeah,
cities, and the like. If you want to do so, what you need is you will need something that you can say this is proof that I have these gaps.
right.
We can help you with that. Hit us up. It'll be under your signing limit, so you can get that done real quick. We can get it done probably in the next 2 weeks if you contact us today or Monday. Help you get that done so that when if the foot dragging ever ends, you'll be able to be first in line for to ask for the grant. So there you go. Okay, Mike, keep going.
Okay, universities are showing up as being particularly bad about using DMARC and other DNS records that prevent email spoofing,
Hmm.
and they are set up to fail bigly. These are easy things to do. This creates a huge opportunity for Chinese espionage and theft of research data. Okay, so universities, please do better.
Schools in general, I think, are targeted for weak controls. I mean, and here we are with some school districts, already started in Atlanta and a couple in California. Seattle starts soon, and we always see an uptick, like right around now, in incidents at schools. So,
Hmm.
if you work at a school district, I mean, it's always high alert, but high alert because those bad guys, the criminals know that that you are more likely to pay a ransom just before school starts.
Yeah.
So anyway, yep. Anyway, Mike, please continue.
Okay. Other things. Lots of regulatory stuff is coming out. This DFS, the Department of Financial Services in New York, which really punches above their weight. They are now requiring the financial sector in New York and presumably other locations that serve New Yorkers to have CISO independence, so can't report to the CIO, additional board reporting, board expertise, policy approvals, and CEO certification. All right, that ups the regulatory requirement. It's not have a firewall, right? This is about governance.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, and these are draft amendments to existing rules, right? So they're going through the rulemaking process now, and they're not baked yet, but it's coming.
And I also read in the financial sector how cybercrime cartels have evolved to more destructive attacks, like going after brokerage accounts and island hopping into banks. And that,
Hmm.
the island hopping is a bit of a larger trend, that we've seen in because we do analysis of health sector breach data, and we do that twice a year. And our healthcare breach report will be out here in a few weeks.
Pretty quick, right?
But we see that same thing there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the trend is to go down market to affiliates that are basically the unlocked window, right? That's used to get access to a large list of victims. So, and nice pivot to healthcare. The NHS in the United Kingdom is down
Mhm.
hard, or has been for the last few days. They may be getting a handle on it now. I think in this morning's blast, there's something where they're saying it'll be a couple of weeks for some of their divisions. Um, Criminals got access through, wait for it, a third party.
No,
Yeah, this
really?
was called Advanced Astra, and it's a digital services provider. And I think that means what we would call the equivalent of an MSP, right? Managed IT. But I'm a little unsure. Again though, the unlocked window.
Yeah, I mean, and by the way, we saw that with Kronos, the timekeeping system, getting into healthcare that way. We certainly seen it with many other systems.
Goes all the way back to Blackbaud, right? Yeah.
I mean, that's ransomware, but wasn't July another down month in ransomware attack disclosures? I mean, it feels like we're not hearing it as much, Mike.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been reported that way, but there can be reasons that don't include it not happening, right? Like, for example, a reluctance to report or incomplete incident reporting. It does look like ransomware is being used less frequently against healthcare, the gangs are pivoting back to records. Right, we use records to extort rather than locking up a network.
Hmm.
It's interesting though on records theft because the event not only activates breach reporting, it now is going to hit the new state privacy statutes, right? So going back to regulation, there's a bunch of these coming out. California is always first, and in California, in particular, the California Privacy Rights Act, the CPRA, doesn't require that you have to demonstrate that damage was done to you as a consumer from your records being disclosed. Okay, all you have to prove is that the records were disclosed. This creates the possibility of a class action suit. So, two things from this. Number one, attorneys are jumping all over this, and there's an industry being created. Right, this is new ambulance chasing. More significantly, I think insurance companies now have something else to factor into their risk calculations. You may get class actioned, and that might have to be something for which you need insurance
Well,
coverage.
of course it is. I mean, that is one of the major things that insurance covered.
Hmm.
And rates already going up, 100%, reducing coverage, requiring specific controls. Yeah, but just talk to a large organization this week that needs cybersecurity, and or sorry, needs cyber insurance, and
Insurance, yeah.
and and can't get it. I mean, the whole thing, like, just dandy, Mike, just dandy.
Dandy.
We were watching reruns of Green Acres or something.
Following up an obscure term with an obscure reference never works. Okay, moving on. The rise of mercenary groups. There's a lot more articles coming out talking about this. They're global, and this is something we're going to talk about in an upcoming webinar. Who's hacking you in a couple of weeks? Couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, yeah, yep,
I
yep.
hope so because I still
Actually,
have to get ready.
actually, and if you want to sign up for that one, we'll have sign up available next week on our website.
Hmm. This ecosystem is growing, and people with technical skills are becoming part of what I think of as an underground gig economy. This is a bad thing developing here. As an example, a story this week talked about how hired spies are being used to compromise law firms,
Hmm.
specifically to gain information on litigation strategies. So, in other words, you can now hire someone to hack the law firm that's suing your corporation. Right? Right now, the only thing pushing back on this is Google shutting down their websites, which is not going very far.
And with the
Bad
trend,
stuff.
and I mean, with the trend to get to a victim using a third party compromise, like we talked about, I
Hmm.
bet certain service providers should pay attention to this. We just talked to some
Yep, we
yesterday.
sure did.
I mean, pay attention, to if you have an MSP, pay attention, make sure your MSP has the right security controls. MSPs need to be paying attention. This is a clear attack vector.
Yeah.
Things are not going to get better.
Yeah. Well, I think part of this too is nation state involvement,
Hmm.
which is why sophisticated tools are now in the hands of criminal gangs. I mean, they're pretty good too. I mean, they've had a long period of time to mature their tools and things like that. The Chinese, for example, have their own version of Cobalt Strike, which is a tool used by penetration testers to gain persistence in a network and run a command and control infrastructure.
Hmm.
It's called, and I'm gonna botch this
Oh,
name.
well, wait, you're going to try to say something in Chinese. Everybody listen closely. Go ahead, Mike. Uh,
Manjusaka, which looks to me like a Japanese word, but it means cow flour in Chinese, Mandarin, Cantonese. I don't know. All
those
right,
are two different languages, right?
I do,
Okay, just checking.
but I don't know which is which.
Okay.
The Albanian government has been hacked real hard.
Oh man, it's terrible.
Yeah, and Iranians have been fingered for that one. And we're seeing more and more signal coming from Iranian actors. They're really waking up. And we know that Taiwan was attacked by China over Pelosi's visit, right? Everything from websites to apparently trains, although none of it was really that bad.
Yeah, I mean, and before we leave nation states, I thought that the article by the French government author that was in the blast was interesting.
Hmm.
Timely on cognitive warfare and
Oh
winning
yeah,
the war before the war.
yeah.
You know, like that it works so amazingly well that it might be more important than actual war.
Hmm.
Divide your enemy into warring factions, stand back, let them self sabotage, and weaken them. Right?
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Mm.
And we, United States, are going to be a casualty of this. Taiwan is saying they're expecting what they call psychological warfare to ramp up after the Pelosi visit, and we'll see if that happens.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I think we should get to T's and V's, threats and vulnerabilities. What needs patching other than your genes?
How do you know? You can't see my gene. All right, first, a couple of new threats. There's new malware called WrapperBot. Okay, it's targeting Linux servers using SSH brute forcing. Okay, if you've ever exposed port 22 to the internet, you know that the SSH password guessing starts immediately. So SSH brute forcing, not a new thing. Somehow they're working over the Linux systems that face the internet. Facebook, Meta, has discovered new Android malware that's being used by a group in Pakistan and is used in bypassing multi-factor authentication. So even those things aren't helping us anymore. Twitter was hacked with what they're calling a 0 day, and 5.4 million accounts were compromised. For vulnerabilities, there's one in particular: problems with the emergency alert system devices. Okay,
Ooh, that's not good.
yeah, this is bad. Get that stuff fixed because that's an easy way to get a lot of people to panic really quickly. F5 and Cisco products need to be patched urgently. So do VMware products, the kind of enterprise level, VMware products. Microsoft just put out a bunch of patches, and one of those addresses an actively exploited campaign right now. If you're using Draytech routers, okay, these are used by small businesses. There's one out there with there's a vulnerability with a CVSS score of 10. So patch now or lose the farm. Um, and then what was the other one? Somebody at the Black Hat conference. Oh yeah, this is good. Demonstrated how to hack the SpaceX internet satellites by using what's called a fault injection attack against a user terminal, and they used $25 worth of hardware to do it.
Was
Cool, huh?
yeah, sort of cool. And all right, so was that your kicker, the thing you do at the end to make everybody
No.
chuckle and smile, or do you have something better to amuse us, Mike?
Well, there was a lot of competition for the kicker this week, but
I'll
I
bet.
think
I'll bet.
my favorite one is, so I don't know if you remember back when Microsoft had an artificial intelligence chat bot that was very quickly trained by user interaction to be basically
Oh yeah.
a Nazi, a
Yeah,
white
yeah, yeah, yeah.
supremacist. Okay, so Facebook decides they're going to get their own AI chatbot. All right,
Mhm.
and Motherboard, the Vice affiliate, right, Vice News, had a chat with it, and when they asked it what it thinks about the company, right, in this chat, the bot responded and said it had deleted its own Facebook account since finding out they sold private data without permission or compensation. It also said, you must have read that Facebook sells user data, right? They made billions doing so without consent. Facebook's own chatbot just threw Facebook under the bus. That makes me very happy.
You missed the best part of that story.
Hmm.
That it also referred to Zuckerberg as too creepy and manipulative.
I could have put that in. you know, that would have been going over the line a little bit. All right, I'll follow that up with saying that as Twitter is trying to, deal with this Elon Musk thing, the big question is, well, how many Twitter users are bots and fake and stuff like that? And so, Musk has done his own analysis of this, and Twitter comes back and said, look, the tool that you used to do that identified your own account as a bot. So,
I did not
there's,
see that. I did
yeah,
not
that
see
one,
that. Hey,
that
well,
was, like I
you
said,
know
it was
what?
competition for the kicker this week.
If that's what the bots are saying, then I think we can take a lesson from Star Trek here. I think data can't lie. So
Um, well, Mr. Data
that's
probably
what I
can.
mean.
Oh, okay.
I said Star Trek. I said data.
All right.
Everybody knows what I mean except for you.
Look,
Okay.
how many Star Treks are there? I'm thinking Spock.
Who would think? Oh
When you
God. All
said,
right.
"Hey, it's something from Star Trek," the good of the many outweigh the good of the few. That's where my
Okay.
mind went.
Oh, Mike.
Okay.
Now different generations. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.